to Assembly Audible. I'm your host, multimedia editor Jennifer Pierce, and we're so happy you're tuning in today. We are recording from the Assembly Show in Rosemont, Illinois at the Donald E. Stephens Convention Center, and I am with my friend, I'll call you a friend now, Jacob Sanchez, Industry Solutions and Community Development. You are in charge of Industry Solutions and Community Development.
Okay,
it's a long title.
It is a
Should
mouthful.
We start over from
my
the beginning?
CEO will never let me live that down.
Okay.
Because I came up with my title.
Okay.
And so he jokes with me.
I butchered it. We cut. We can start over.
I was going to keep going.
Okay, let's keep going then.
Yeah. He jokes with me all the time about, hey, Mr. IFCDE, like, how's your first week going? And I'm like, I'm not going to live that down, am I, Felix?
I'm taking notes. IFCD.
So, yeah.
Actually, you know what's funny is that your other job title was long, too.
That one was, it's because analyst. I keep coming up with my own. People need to stop letting me do that. So hopefully when I get my promotion here at IGUS, it will be a more real title.
Okay.
Basically, Industry Solutions and Community Development sums up the 10 years that I've had in automation and manufacturing and lets you know, hey, this person can help you with industrial solutions and knows your industry. And then the community development side is tying in my role of being that resource to our community, helping IGUS get in front of people more, help people more, the education stuff I do. So It's tying a little bow on all that stuff.
Yes. So we started out silly, but now we're moving into a serious topic because you have been in this industry for a long time.
Yeah.
Actually, you started when you were like 15 years old.
Yeah, you remember that?
3 years old. Yeah, of course. You were like, remember this about me? I'm like, oh, I remember everything we talked about. Not really, but I do remember that you were focused on education and content creation, and you were doing freelance work.
Yep.
So tell me, how did you end up from doing that, and how does that factor into what you're doing now, and how did you end up with IGUS?
Yeah, so from 15, started off as a 5-axis aerospace CNC machinist with Titans of CNC. A lot of people know my story, helping build that academy. Moved on to become an application engineer for custom automation integration at Edgewater Automation, who's also here at the show.
Right.
Everybody knows a lot about that story. And in that, I started my content creation. I started trying out LinkedIn, trying to just help people. I wanted to tell stories and highlight just the cool industry that I was in now. And then that spiraled into, I do public speaking, I host trade shows all across the country, some international shows as well. I've been a keynote guest at 2 international trade shows, one in Japan, one in Germany. And through the recent freelancing and things this past year, IGUS found out about me, and that's where I started talking with the CEO, Felix, for like 6 months. I went out to Germany. I went to their 2 million square foot facility in Germany, where they have 90 or 80,000 of it that's just dedicated to R&D, and learned more about them, met a bunch of people, helped do their marketing for IMTS. And eventually I just had to get on board. Like, it took me a while before I was like, wow, like this really seems like a place that I can stay for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that was new to me, because the last place that I felt like that was at Titans, and I was there for 6 years, from when I was 15 to 21, you know?
Okay, yes, I remember that now. Yep. You talked about the videos that you were producing.
Yep, for education.
Right.
Teaching CNC machining, yep.
Uh-huh. Okay, it's all coming back to me now. Well, this is your 3rd year at the Assembly Show.
Yep.
And we met, I think, I definitely remember that we recorded a podcast last year.
Yep. And we met for the first time in person at the Nashville Assembly South one.
Okay. So, and on top of the Assembly Show, you have done 14 trade shows this year.
Yeah, 14 trade shows.
You're like, can I keep up?
I did 16 last year, and then I hosted 2 of them this year. One of them had 100,000 people in attendance, the NPE show in Florida. It's like a plastic show. Really learned a lot about sustainability at that one. And then the other one was News and Brews, ATX West in Anaheim. That was sweet.
So you're traveling a lot.
Yep.
So what are you seeing in terms of trends across the board is one thing I'd like to talk about, because you do have so much experience and are face-to-face with industry figures all the time, right? So that does fit into, and we were kidding about your title, but Industry Solutions and Community Development.
Yeah.
You are a figure in this industry, so you definitely have your finger on the pulse. So what are you seeing across the board in terms of conversations, and how do you think it's changed since the last time we spoke?
Something that I've been seeing a lot, and maybe this is just the type of year that we're having with the whole election year mumbo jumbo stuff. People, I will say, are definitely hesitant to actually sign over POs and put those orders in for a lot of jobs. I don't think they're hesitant because there's a real threat to manufacturing or the industry. I think everybody's just being cautious, and that's creating this weird little bubble. That's just from what I've heard and the people I've talked to and actually seen out there, because I'm still going into these factories that are pushing out products that have a bunch of orders that can't be filled because they don't have the people and they need the automation. So there's sales to be made, but the reason people aren't buying is just because they're just they're in their own heads about it. So that's something that I have seen that's real out there. On the tech side of things, I've seen a bigger adaptation and adoption into the VR and AR space. Outside of training though. So usually, and this is still new, I know the past maybe 3 to 5 years, but it's really been focused on the training sector.
Right.
A lot more companies are using it to show off their digital products, almost like a digital twin. They're using it to show off their products in new ways to their customers and engage with them a little differently when you're having those meetings, which I think is very interesting. I like seeing that.
Yes. I love mixed reality, virtual reality. It's one of my favorite things.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Trying to think a little bit more on the techie side. Cobots are doing amazing. More low-cost AMRs and AGVs are starting to come out, a lot from Japan. I just had 15 businesses from the Jetro Association come to our, I guess, as an enjoyneering center in Detroit, where you can play and get hands-on with things.
That.
You can host your own meetings too with customers. So I had 15 companies from Japan fly in, and we hosted them for a day to just teach them. They wanted to learn how to do better business in America, and that's a trend that I saw from them, and that's an overseas trend coming here. So yeah, lots of interesting happenings going on. A lot more companies understanding that when they talk about workforce development, they need to not just focus on the education of the high school, middle school, and colleges, but workforce development also has to do with their people. I see a lot more people taking that route now as well.
Yeah. One of my favorite things you said in our interview last year was you talked about research and development and having content creation centers and places for people to experiment within the four walls in an assembly or a manufacturing plant. I thought that was so clever.
I'm finding out that there's always been a lot more of those than I've thought, but I've been finding out a lot more like maker spaces or innovation labs that are actually in these areas around the country. There's one in Chicago that I just found out about. It's called like DMI or something. I'm going to research it. I literally just heard about it like a few hours ago. So that's been a new avenue for me that I'm researching more into and learning myself, is some of these labs that are around the country that open up spaces at a low cost for businesses to rent and host trainings or just be there with their technology. So that's something I'm going to dive into more as well, that I think people should probably jump on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I see you brought some stuff, and also we were talking about a little bit more about what you're working on or what your team is developing with IGUS. So let's talk about that. Do you want to go with what you brought first?
I just like props.
I do too.
I say I'm not a diva, but then when we're about to start filming, I'm like, wait. Let me go grab things.
Absolutely. I'm on board 100%.
It's because this is the stuff that people know when it comes to IGUS. IGUS is the orange. Jacob, you're wearing purple. I'm not colorblind, I know. IGUS is this E-chain. They're plastic bearings. They do a lot with sustainability. So by 2030, our whole thing is being the easiest company to work with, improving what moves with Motion Plastics, going carbon neutral. This is what everybody in America and around the world knows IGUS for. IGUS is an icon in Germany. It was insane when I went there. That's why I brought this stuff up, because what this purple is, this RBTX, it's a different business unit of IGUS. It's like this product, except we focus on automation. And the way we do that is we focus on low-cost automation. So we have a gantry robot, a Delta, and a 6-axis robot arm that's between $3K and $7K, depending on the type you get and stuff. That's insane for a gantry, a Delta, or a 6-axis robot arm. And we have prices blasted on our booth at every trade show. People are like, do you know this is here? Like, we have partners that come and they're like, do you know you put our price here? And we're like, yeah, like I want somebody to hand me a check and walk out the door with it.
Yes.
And that's kind of our bread and butter with RBTX, is we offer these low-cost automation solutions because of companies can't get started in automation, they can't grow with automation, and our whole idea with that is doing this tech up, cost down. Keep the cost
I love
down
that.
so people can tech up.
Okay.
Because if people are teching up, they can save, they can invest more into automation. That's how you grow this industry.
Right.
If people can't get started just because they can't afford that $30,000 robot, doesn't mean they're a bad company. It means they don't have $30,000 to spend on a naked
It's a huge
robot.
investment, yeah.
And a big thing that we still do, because people are like, oh, well, Jacob, how does this compare to like a Fanuc? How does this compare to like a UR, a Kawasaki? And I'm like, it doesn't. I was like, this robot will never compare to robots of that caliber.
Right.
I was like, never. Like, if you're telling me to quote you this or a Fanuc, don't ask me to do that, because I'm going to tell you to get the Fanuc. Because these robots are used in specific circumstances.
Context, yeah.
And I have these in very big production plants around the country. I guess I can't name names, but we let you know when you should use this, because some people just buy the big robots because that's all that's out there. Now there's something else. Now there's something that can help you get started, save money, and then invest in the Fanucs, invest in the URs.
Absolutely.
You know?
You have the marketplace, right, as a tool for people to access you know, the robots.
We have 500 solutions on there, all under 18,000. 95% are under 18,000. And those are videos. People can watch videos of tech being used, solutions being done. We have 500 other partners and products that are on there as well. And that's just what we do to help the community, help the industry. We're starting our own online community platform.
Yes, let's talk about this.
That's going to be pretty huge. So that's my big, I guess, my baby.
This is a big project for you. Okay, tell me about it.
I've been working on the past 4 months. We're releasing it end of January, early February. And we have things like the robot forum, where you can type in, does anybody know the alarm code for a Fanuc 30 IB controller with an LRmate 200 that's labeled XY209? And people will be like, oh yeah, here's the thing, here's the solution. You can do that here in our community, but I also want you to be able to say, hey, does anybody know what it's like to purchase or rent an industrial space in a complex? I'm looking to start my business in this area.
This is brilliant.
Hey, does anybody know what it's like? I'm going to my first trade show. I don't really know how to approach somebody's booth and just walk up. I'm scared of being sold to. I want this to be a community, and a community is a collection of people of diverse backgrounds, experience, and ages in an area, and then we're gonna niche these spaces where you can go if you just want to know more about automotive, if you just want help with whatever your process is for pharmaceuticals, if you're a traveler and you're trying to travel better, or you're a marketer and you want to better market in this industry. If you're just growing as a professional,
right?
We're going to have those spaces so you can choose what you get into, but you're still in this collective of industry people.
Right. I can definitely see why you would love something like that.
Yes. I can't say the name yet because we're still working on like the trademarking and stuff like that, but I'll be releasing it, like I said, January, February. I'm reaching out to some industry people for November, December that are going to be the final wave of beta testers. We already went through a wave of alpha testing. And after that, it's going to be open to everyone, and it's going to be sweet.
Fantastic. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to that. Jacob, thank you so much for making time for this conversation. I know we didn't have anything written down. We were just like, let's jump on and do a podcast and see what happens. But you're full of information and knowledge, so I certainly appreciate you making time for this.
I try to pretend that some of it's valuable, so we'll see what the people think.
Of course,
we'll see what the people think out there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Assembly Audible. I'm Jennifer Pierce with Jacob Sanchez, recording from the Assembly Show. Thanks for listening.